Welcome to Demo Day, where young innovators take the stage and showcase real-world projects to a global audience. At WEquil School, students learn to become innovators, teaching each other each week through their creations. WEquil App has thousands of novel and useful projects born out of our students' strengths, interests, and passions. But Demo Day is more than just a presentation. It's a celebration of innovation, collaboration, and the power of young minds. Join us on this incredible journey of inspiration as we witness the next generation of problem solvers and leaders. From Harvard professors to industry experts, our Demo Days attract incredible guest speakers who share their knowledge and ignite curiosity. Whether you're a young innovator looking to showcase your creations or a family seeking an extraordinary learning experience, Demo Day is here for you. Together, let's create a world where young minds flourish, ideas come to life, and innovation knows no boundaries. Join us for an unforgettable journey of learning, growth, and discovery. Welcome to Demo Day.
This is my project on INTJ Relationships. And so basically this is exploring how the INTJ personality type from the Architect personality type on Myers-Briggs and kind of in relation to other personality types, some struggles they might have, including how they can mitigate these struggles and get kind of have better relationships by understanding how they're different and who they are. And so first is understanding the INTJ personality type. So the letters stand for one, introversion, which means they prefer spending time alone or with a close group of friends. And the next letter, intuitive, means that they have a natural inclination to think more through concepts and ideas opposed to details and facts. The thinking side of things means that they prioritize logical reasoning and objective analysis over personal feelings or societal expectations. And lastly, the judging letter means that they are more highly organized and like order and structure. So then if you want to learn more about my personal experience being an INTJ, then you can check out this article that I linked in this project. Next is what INTJs look for in friends. So the first thing is intellectual stimulation. INTJs love exploring new ideas and theories and will like friendships that offer intellectual stimulation through thoughtful discussions about complex topics. Next is honesty. INTJs appreciate directness and honesty and those that can engage in constructive conversation without unnecessary emotional drama. Next is independence. INTJs value their personal space and freedom, and so they'll appreciate friends that respect that need for independence and don't like to have too much obligation. And lastly is they appreciate those that are consistent and reliable and that they can trust to follow through on their commitments. And so the next section is on relationship struggles for the INTJ personality type. These are just things that could potentially start to arise through just because of the natural tendencies of the INTJ personality type. This doesn't mean that every single INTJ faces these struggles. But the first thing is lack of emotional expressiveness. Because INTJs are usually very logical and rational, they might struggle with expressing their emotions, and that can be struggle for those that try to that appreciate friendships that provide emotional validation, and to those people, INTJs can seem insensitive or uncaring. Next is that they can be overly critical. With INTJs can be overly critical of others. With their high standards and tendency for analysis, they might unconsciously express criticism to and causing other people to feel judged or inadequate. Next is dismissive of emotions. This can lead to other people feeling that their feelings are invalidated, and they can have unrealistic expectations of others to always keep their emotions under control. This is I took a test on the 16 personality types, a survey that they did on making friends. This is one of the questions. Would you say that you keep your guard up when meeting new people? My answer was yes, and as you can see, 93.09% of architects said the same. And I didn't include the next part of this, but that they're actually the most likely personality type to answer yes to that question. Next is that because INTJs are more introverted and they need time alone to recharge, this might come across to other people as like ghosting them or purposely avoiding them if they're not clear about what they're doing and the boundaries that they have. And lastly is overlooking small gestures. Because INTJs are more big picture thinkers, they might miss out on kind of the small day-to-day gestures that other personality types might look for, and that could strengthen a relationship, like verbal affirmation, small acts of kindness, or remembering important dates. Next is kind of the relationship dynamics for the INTJ in contrast to the other opposite letters. For example, for extroversion, INTJs might have trouble getting like overwhelmed or drained with too much social interaction. And so it's really just important to have boundaries and communicate when you need space, because in my own experience, I also really appreciate these types to kind of push me to get out of my shell. But it really is just about having a balance and expressing what you need. So next is intuitive and sensing. I haven't really noticed any conflicts or repeated problems that could arise with engaging with sensing types, because the judging aspect of my personality also leads me to be very detail oriented and practical for many things. But sensing types may sometimes fall short on the intellectual stimulation side, not because they're not interesting, but they might have trouble discussing kind of like high level abstract ideas that I tend kind of in that sort of view that I tend to view things from. Anyways, so the next one is thinking and feeling. This can be a really real point of contention, especially for those of my type. But not being very sensitive to others' emotions, but also the high level thinking can cause INTJs to overlook how they might be impacting other people. And also because they're generally focused on kind of their goals and what they want to accomplish, they might see the emotions of those around them to be irrelevant. And so also INTJs usually have a high degree of control over their emotions and might be frustrated or lose respect for those that do not. And so all these things can cause tension between thinking and feeling types if you're not aware of your differences. And lastly is the struggle between judging and perceiving types is a tale as old as time. Those that are more structured will always have struggles with others that are more easygoing and vice versa. And so this is especially the case if you live or you work with the person. And so that can be frustrating for INTJs if they feel others are irresponsible or not valuing their time by missing out on commitments and expectations. So lastly is understanding these differences and avoiding misunderstandings. I think that really the best strategy for all of these problems is just understanding your differences, and knowing how you differ from the norm allows you to kind of just be aware and proactive about mitigating these issues. And also understanding that the reason why you might have struggles in your relationships is not because somebody is trying to hurt your feelings or do something annoying. It's because you guys are different. And so this can be helpful to avoid common frustrations. But specifically, it can be helpful for INTJs to develop empathy. It might be hard for INTJs to look past the logical fallacies in others, but having awareness of others' emotions is very important. And it might also be helpful for INTJs to think about it from the perspective of that, and humans are inherently emotional beings. And by only considering facts, you're actually inhibiting your ability to make accurate and appropriate decisions. And of course, INTJs also have emotions, however good they may be at controlling or concealing them. Next is open-mindedness. All of these traits can make INTJs very independent and driven to accomplish their vision, because they can create high-level plans within the intuitive thinking side of their brain and execute independently with the introverted judging side. This can lead to INTJs knowing how they want to do things and wanting to do them on their own. But of course, collaboration is necessary, and being open-minded and flexible can be very helpful. Next is to show appreciation and affection, especially to family. This can be really helpful in just creating a positive environment, although that is probably isn't going to be as important or to INTJs. It can be very important to those that they love. And so the next thing is analytical emotional intelligence. This is actually a concept that I define in this article that I linked, but basically it's talking about how thinking types can use their analytical reasoning to achieve the goal of emotional intelligence, which is being aware of others' emotions, being aware of your own emotions, and being able to make better decisions using that information. And so I think that basically this can help for thinking types to be more emotionally intelligent by posing it as an intellectual challenge, and that can make, I guess, emotional intelligence more appealing for them, and help them to start employing it in their relationships. Lastly is patience. While being patient with your communication or patience with working with others can greatly increase your chances of mitigating frustrations. And that can just be really important for INTJs, especially because they can have very high standards for themselves. And so if they see other people falling short on their own standards, then that might make them frustrated. But of course, they also have their own weaknesses that other people might be frustrated for them with. So to not be highly critical of others can be helpful in maintaining long-lasting relationships. So lastly, in conclusion, personality types do not define you and will never be able to encapsulate the infinite complexity of each individual. But these can be really valuable in understanding surface level natural tendencies. And also these terms are really helpful in communicating who you are to others, as demonstrated in this article. And so sometimes it can be frustrating navigating all the differences between people, but the world would be incredibly boring without the diversity of individuals. It certainly would be boring if everyone was an INTJ. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Round of applause.
I'd really like to get Chloe's thoughts on this because I know she is also an INTJ.
Well, I think that was a very good. Okay, I don't really even have a feedback sandwich. I just have a feedback croissant because that you're basically right on all points. I think it was a very good project and you explained all the things wonderfully.
Thank you.
I learned that Sumay has emotions.
Oh, wow.
No. Oh, yeah. Well, some of these terms I think we talk about these personality type tests a lot and related tests and just insights generally. And I think there's a lot to unpack with these things. It goes so much deeper than the test and these labels. So I'm glad that you helped just showcase that a little bit with this. Alexia?
I just have a feedback croissant. First of all, I thought the conclusion was very well written. I liked it's like a combination of humor and then also being like, though it doesn't, like these 16 personalities like don't sum up all the nuances, they can still be very helpful. And I liked the advice you gave at the end of like, to avoid unnecessary interpersonal conflicts, to educate yourself on the differences of like how you think and how the other person thinks, and sort of have the mindset of like knowing that the other person oftentimes isn't trying to be antagonistic or difficult. It's just differences in different personalities, and like, everybody needs to have a little bit of grace with everybody else. Yeah, I thought it was a great project.
Thank you so much. All right. Audie, go ahead.
I have a feedback sandwich, and I like the presentation. It was quite, it was a little bit too lengthy, like in all the parts, a little bit too lengthy in all the parts. And I felt that you should also put some of the struggles and experiences, so it will be, helpful to other INTJ.
Do you mean like examples of struggles that I faced?
Oh, examples. Where was that meme of the cat?
Oh yeah,
You know,
I should have put that
That would have
in.
been really good.
Yeah.
There's this meme of a cat that Sumay found, and it's in the corner. It's shoved between like a table and the glass window in the corner. And
Yeah.
then there's like a hand reaching in there to grab the cat and pulls it out. And it says INTJ over the cat and ENTP over the hand. And that's my personality type. So we share the NT, but then the E and the P being the difference there.
Yeah, I also want to link to my other article. I wrote an article on most and least compatible personality types, where basically I was talking about how some of the kind of like it's not like you're not going to get along with certain people or you are going to get along with certain people, but kind of the balance of the two letters that you have are kind of like how you think, and the outside letters are like how you act. And so if you have the same inside letters with somebody and opposite outside letters, that can create a really good balance, because you kind of think really kind of think along the same lines, but you act really differently. So you'll have like a balance of like somebody who's more introverted and someone who's more extroverted, and somebody who's more spontaneous, someone who's more like planning, and that can create a good balance too. But
you and Isla are opposites.
Yeah.
On all of them.
Yeah.
So this does not mean that you can't. In fact, that was
of course
like,
not.
that was, yeah, oh, I knew, you know, this is like
Right.
the backstory of WEquil though, is like Mom
Yeah.
and I being opposites and seeing the other person as like this North Star
Yeah.
to help you understand the nature of humanity.
Mhm.
Because it's like, if you can understand them, then it'll give you insight into understanding people generally. So that like Sumay and Isla adopted that kind of mentality with each other, so they get along amazingly well despite being opposites.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Go ahead, mommy.
Isla, can I? Oh,
All
sorry.
right.
Okay.
You did it.
Yeah, I want to be brief because Artie has a project. I would just like, I had a light bulb went off when you write about the analytical emotional intelligence, because when you were working on the emotional intelligence pillar for WEquil School, I was like, Sumay, that's not emotional intelligence. From my perspective as a feeling person, right? Like, so yeah, great project. I just learned a lot from your presentation.
Thank you. I'd also be curious to learn more about like what specifically was like that's not emotional intelligence from my perspective, but
It's
yeah.
more about like doing it, right? Like you validate other people's emotions. You care about the little act of kindness, and you appreciate that a lot. So that's
Oh, I thought we just had to understand it. Sorry, Sumay.
Well, what I was saying, I defined it as, well, the one that I did in the previous video I did on emotional intelligence was the ability to perceive outside your own perception, like understand the world outside of just like how you see it. And then the one that I did in the analytical emotional intelligence article was understanding your own emotions, understanding others' emotions, and using that information to optimize your actions for better outcomes. And so I think that that is kind of like a very thinking definition, but Yeah, I see. There's different ways that you can approach that, but I think.
Oh wait, one last
All
quick
right,
thing.
sure.
One thing I can tell you guys is that Sumay looks forward to hanging out with you guys over these daily meetups all the time. Like, it's one of her favorite parts of the day. And it's great. Like, it's just, I think it's really cool. It just seems to lend itself really well to her personality type, because it's engaging with people that are passionate about something, they have interesting ideas, they're doing something. So it's like, it's weirdly productive, but also fun and social. So it's like, you know, given that she and Isla founded WEquil School, but Sumay was the older sibling, you can see some of her personality type in the nature of how she loves engaging for school. So yeah, you guys are great.
All right. Hey, Audie, do you want to share your project now?